All right, good morning. My name is Tyler Porsche. I'm an instructor and an HSC coordinator here at Mad Dog Cranes and Heavy Equipment. Been here with the company for about 3.5 years now. Been around in a lot of different departments, but ultimately found my place here in the safety and the training department. So all of you here are new hires that are coming through our new hire process and taking multiple onboarding classes. So you should have already taken a precursor to this course with the rigging course. You should have also done your new hire physicals and things of that nature, making sure you are medically cleared to continue on with our hands-on portion that we'll be doing later on today. So today we're going to cover rigging hand signals as per CFR 1926.1419. So we'll be covering all the hand signals we need to use during the rigging operations and going through some different safety aspects that we need to watch out for to continue to promote a safe working environment for all involved. So just a quick little safety moment here. Uh, we don't have any planned drills for today, so if you do hear an alarm going off, please proceed to the muster station that was covered during your onboarding orientation. Report to the muster captain and go ahead and sign in. That way we can make sure you're present and accounted for. Additionally, if you guys smoke, you use chewing tobacco, vape, whatever, we ask that you do all that in the designated smoking area behind the back of the building. Please do not smoke in the front doorway or anywhere near the front entrance. We have quite a few tours that come through on a daily basis, and we don't want them to have to walk through that. Additionally, if you guys got to use the restroom or anything like that, they have restrooms all the way left side of the building, last door on your left, in near the lab area. We also have another restroom up front by the secretary's desk as well. So just to start everything off, I just want to thank you guys for participating in this training, coming through the training center here. We take a lot of pride in being able to offer this kind of training through the company. We pride ourselves in being one of the best companies that participates in the crane operating field, along with the heavy equipment operating field. So we want you guys to go ahead and just get seated. Once you get seated, there should be some paperwork on your desk. Go ahead and start filling that out to the best of your abilities. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask some of the training staff here. We can go ahead and assist you in filling it out. We'd also ask that you guys go ahead and provide a driver's license or a TWIC card, some form of photo ID for us to go ahead and sign you in, and for our record keeping purposes as well. When the instructor comes around, he's going to go ahead and pick that up from your desk, and we'll make a copy and bring it right back to you. There should be a sign-in sheet that's going to be passed around. Please make sure you print and sign and date that sign-in sheet, along with some other course materials like our hand signals handout that will be given out shortly as well. Our learning objectives here for today. There's a couple different things we want to get out of this class. We want you to learn the basics of crane operations. So we want you to understand what's going on during the crane operations, during rigging operations, as it pertains to the movement of the crane. So we'll go over a basic layout of the crane and what we need you to get. We want to understand how to direct the movements of the crane while using hand signals. So that is kind of a key portion of rigging operations, is making sure that we can direct the movements of the crane safely, and that you have a solid understanding of what to do when it comes to these kind of operations. We want to also identify hazards associated with the rigging operations. Rigging and crane operations are inherently dangerous. There's a lot of moving parts, there's dropped objects, there's pinch points, crush points, anything in between. There's plenty of numbers of ways to get hurt or get killed during these operations. So we want to try our best to minimize the time that you guys would spend in that dangerous area. So why do we take this course? So we take this course because OSHA requires it. It requires anybody who's signaling, any signal persons to be qualified and understand the functions of a crane and use the correct hand signals for those functions. This also serves a vital role for us as a safety department here, making sure you guys can safely direct the movements of the crane and that you understand what you're asking for when you're giving hand signals to the crane. It's also required by our company as a company policy that all field-based employees have it. So whether you are on a rigging team, whether you're a field safety tech, or you're an operations guy, working in the field. Either way, you have to have this training. It's required by the company, it's required by OSHA, so we have to be compliant with it. So there's just some PPE that'll be needed once we get into the field uh, for the hands-on portion. So you guys, at a minimum, will need safety glasses, which should have been provided to you during the onboarding orientation, along with gloves. We go off of cut-resistant gloves that are usually high visibility in color. Uh, if we were working near water, which happens pretty often whenever we work in dock facilities, you would have to wear a PFD or a personal flotation device. We also require that you wear hard hats, safety vests, especially if you are the person rigging. The person signaling, sorry. The person signaling is to wear a high visibility vest at all times to designate them as the signal person. We also require that you guys wear steel toe shoes or steel toe boots, making sure that we're staying away from the suspended loads and stuff like that, and just ensuring an extra layer of protection just in case something were to fall on them. So before any job takes place, we need to take our pre-job safety seriously. So before any job takes place, we will participate in a pre-job safety meeting. So this pre-job safety meeting will be directed by the on-site supervisor, and everyone that is going to be a part of the rigging operations or the crane operations shall be present for this. This is where we're going to discuss the different tasks that we're going to do, and then the on-site supervisor is going to kind of divvy up those tasks to certain people, assign assignments. We also should complete a job safety analysis. It shall be completed by a member of the HSC department. So one of the on-site field representatives will be present during this pre-job safety meeting, and they will go ahead and have the JSA filled out. We'll go over that, and then everybody that is going to be participating in the job will go ahead and sign it as admission that they are present and understand the JSA. Should any significant shift change happen, so if we go ahead and we crew change or anything like that in between, we have some guys that go ahead and start on another job, whatever, anything in between like that, we'll go ahead and we'll have to repeat those two processes. So doing the pre-job safety meeting and doing the JSA again. So our rigging team. So this is how the breakdown works. Just wanted to make sure we all understand that you have stop work authority and it is your responsibility to use it. Okay, you're responsible for not only your safety but the safety of everybody else that could be exposed to any unsafe conditions that you cause. So it's very important that we understand that. If something seems out of place, it probably is out of place. Go ahead and report it. Stop work and stop the job. That way we can go ahead and address it adequately, and then work is only supposed to resume if it has been addressed adequately. So going back to our rigging teams, it's going to be divided into the following positions. So we're going to have a signalman. So the signalman is going to be the one giving signals to the crane and directing the movements of the crane. He's also in charge of the ground crew, so he'll be running the operations on the ground level. We'll have two riggers, so they'll unhook and hook up loads. They'll also handle tag lines during the landing operations, and they'll be in charge of inspecting all rigging gear, such as sling shackles and things of that nature. We'll also have the crane operator. They're supposed to obey the hand signals from the signal person and inspect the crane and the crane functions. They're also responsible for keeping an eye out for the rest of the rigging team, basically making sure that he is keeping an eye out for any hazards that may come up that the rigging crew might not see. So the basics of the crane. So here we just have a regular crane truck. So the pedestal of the body would be considered this portion right here of the crane. We have the boom of the crane right here. We have the cables of the hoist of the crane, and then we have the load of the crane. So this is just the basic layout of how the crane is going to move. Next thing we'll get into is hand signals. So to use the main hoist, you're going to go ahead and make a fist and then tap the top of your hard hat. Whenever we are asking for the main hoist, we're asking for the big block. Usually it's a bigger block that's designed to pick up heavier loads. Okay, moves a little bit slower, but this is known as the main block or the big block. So when I ask the crane operator this or give him this signal, I'm asking that he uses the main block or the big block. Use the whip line. We're gonna take our hand, go ahead and make our elbow facing up, and you're gonna tap the bottom of your elbow. When we tap the bottom of our elbow, we're asking for the whip line. It's otherwise known as the secondary line, auxiliary line, fast line, whatever you want to call it. This is what we're asking for. It's going to be a smaller line that's designated for light to medium loads and to move them a little bit quicker. If we want to raise the boom, you're going to take your thumb and point it upwards. Okay, so this is going to raise the boom of the crane like we showed you in the crane basics earlier. If I want to boom down, I'm going to take my thumb and point it downwards, and this will move the crane down. So this is an example right here. As we can see, he's booming up, and we can see that this boom is bringing this up. If we boom down, it's going to do the opposite of that. So when it booms down, another thing we have to be weary of is that it's also going to, when we boom up, it's going to bring back this load radius. When we boom down, it's going to bring this load radius out. So it's going to bring it closer to the pedestal of the crane when we boom up. It's going to bring it further away from the pedestal of the crane when we boom down. So we need to be mindful of that as well. To raise the load, all you do is take your forefinger and make small horizontal circles like this. And this is going to raise the load or raise the hoist. If we want to lower the load, take your finger, point down, go ahead and make small circles like that as well. And it will lower the load or lower the hoist. So this is an example right here. If we need to go straight up or straight down, this is the signal we'll use. So as you can see, that load is going straight up. If you were to flip it around, the load would go straight down. If we need to do that slowly, say we're about to land it on the deck, or we're about to get those slings tensioned up to where we're about to pull it off of the deck, you're going to take your other hand and put it underneath of that of your hand that you're making small circles with. If you got to make go slow down, same deal right here. Let's say we need to swing in a certain direction. We need to go ahead and move horizontally. You're going to point in whatever direction you're trying to get him to move. So if I need him to move to my right, I'll point to my right. If I need him to move to my left, I'll point to my left. It'll swing or slew in that direction. Just means the same thing. So there's an example right here. Pointing in that direction, and he's moving in that direction. Let's say we need to reach out a little bit further, so we need to extend the boom. If we have a boom with we have a crane with a telescoping boom, we could go ahead and extend the boom. Whenever we extend the boom, it'll keep that load at the same height, but move it further away from the pedestal of the crane. So we can take our hands, put them together like this, thumbs out, and we go ahead and make this movement right here. This is to extend the boom. Let's say we wanted to bring it closer to the pedestal of the crane, but keep it at the same height again. So we would go ahead and retract the boom. So you just make that motion in the opposite direction. So this is an example right here of them extending the boom, and the example of the signals again. So go ahead, thumbs out, pointing that way. And if we need to go ahead and retract the boom, we flip them back inside, point the thumbs at each other, and make that movement. Raise the boom or hoist down. You're going to take your thumb, point upwards, and then you're going to flex your fingers in and out. So this is going to raise the boom while hoisting down. So it'll keep that boom going up, moving it closer to the pedestal, the load moving closer to the pedestal of the crane, but it'll keep the cable going down. So it'll keep that load at the same height. This is also known as raise the boom, hold the load. If we needed to lower the boom or hoist up, we go ahead, thumb down, flexing our fingers in and out like that as well. So now this is going to bring the boom down, so we'll be moving further away from the pedestal of the crane and keeping the load at the same height. So otherwise known as lower the boom, hold the load. Okay. So this is an example right here. Raise the boom, lower the load. So as we can see, it's moving up, but it's decreasing that load radius, bringing it closer to the pedestal of the crane. If we did the opposite right there, it would bring the load further down towards the ground, keeping it at that same height, moving it away from the pedestal of the crane, increasing that load radius. We need a stop. This is the signal for stop. Taking your hand, laying it flat, and then moving it, pivoting from your arm, from your elbow, going back and forth. The signal for stop. When we do our hands on later, we want you to go ahead and give the signal to stop between each signal. So, for example, if I'm swinging to my right or slewing to my right and I want to switch to boom up, I'll go ahead and give the signal to stop first, then boom up. So let's say we had to call for an emergency stop. This signal can be given by anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. If your supervisor walks up behind you and sees something going wrong, they can go ahead and give this signal too. It does not matter if they're a part of the rigging party or not. Okay. So for this signal, we're going to take both our hands, lay them flat in front of us, and then pivot at the elbows again, just like we were for stop. So this is emergency stop. So this is some examples of stop and then emergency stop as well. Dog everything is going to be our last signal. So take both your hands and clasp them in front of you. Dog everything just simply means that we're done. We're going to go ahead. You can go ahead and pick up the crane. We're going to move on to doing what we have to do next. We move on to the next task. Okay. So that's one that a lot of people get confused of, mainly just because of the terminology. Dog everything just means we're done. We're going to move on to the next part of the operation. So some additional considerations we want to think about as well is should line of sight be compromised from the operator will stop and go ahead and radio the signal person and let them know, hey, there's an obstruction in the way. I can't see your signals. So if any point in time we lose contact with the signal person or the crane operator, all operations should cease immediately until we reestablish communication. Some operations may require two signalmen, so we may have an obstruction in the way, so we may have to tandem signal, where we put one signal person closer to the crane and another person around a corner or something like that that's actually watching the load. At that point, we'll appoint a senior signalman who will be in charge. As per the CFRs as well, C1 and the CFR 1926.1419, standard hand signal should be used at all times. So the signals that we just covered should be used. Okay. But if there is use of non-standard hand signals, say if we go ahead and throw something else in, we need to refer to the other CFR C2, which is going to say that we need to make sure we take that into consideration during our safety meeting beforehand. It has to be discussed prior to the operation taking place. So if we do this signal right here, which is commonly used in the rigging industry, we know this means hoist up slow, hoist down slow. But these are not approved signals. So we do have to make sure we talk about it during the pre-job safety meeting, making sure everybody's on the same page. We all know what it means. So what's next? So we're gonna go ahead. We're finished with the most of the training. You guys are gonna go ahead and take a quick, short 15-minute break. Please go use the restroom, go get water, do whatever you got to do, get snacks. Once we come back, please go ahead and start looking over the handout that was given out to you with all the hand signals on there. Once that 15-minute break is over with, we're gonna go ahead and start the test. It's gonna consist of 10 randomly selected questions throughout the presentation here. You have to get an 80% to pass. So 8 out of 10 questions. If for some reason we don't make the passing grade, you're going to have to take a second version of the test and retry or reattempt it. If you so happen to fail that one as well, you're going to have to retake this whole class. So we're also, once we finish up with the test, we're going to head out into the rigging field and start with our hands-on practicals. You guys will be required to spot the crane hook over two cones that will be placed out in the rigging field and touch the top of those cones with the crane hook. Once we finish up with that, we'll come back inside. We'll start handing out certificates, finish up paperwork, and then we'll move on from there. If you guys feel free to contact me if we do have any issues or any concerns when it pertains to the training or any of the hand signal and crane operations. This is just my contact info. Your instructor can pause the video to go ahead and let you screenshot this or something like that as well. On behalf of Mad Dog Cranes and Heavy Equipment, like I said, my name is Tyler Porsche. I just want to go ahead and thank you for participating in today's training and remaining attentive. If you do have any questions, feel free to contact us on that contact me page that we just had up. Don't be afraid to go ahead and ask any questions that you might have concerning this training or concerning any operations in the field. Thank you, and we hope to see you in the next one.